The silence in the Galactic Council chamber was heavy. Ji-won stood on the platform, her hands locked behind her back. She was trying to stay calm, but her heart was racing. Around her, in a massive circular room that seemed to stretch forever, sat representatives from 847 different alien species. Every single one of them was staring at her. She had been standing there for 3 hours. 3 hours of listening to accusations. 3 hours of hearing why humanity was too dangerous to be free. The head counselor, a tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms, raised one hand. The vote was finished. The results appeared on screens all around the chamber. Ji-won felt her stomach drop. It was unanimous. Every species had voted the same way. Earth would be enslaved. Commander Ji-won of Earth, the head counselor's voice echoed through the chamber. The Galactic Council has reached its decision. Humanity is found guilty of being a threat to galactic peace. Your species shows too much aggression. You fight too easily. You solve problems with violence. You cannot be trusted with freedom. Ji-won wanted to scream. She wanted to argue, but she knew it wouldn't help. The decision was made. The counselor continued. Earth and all human colonies will be stripped of all advanced technology. Your people will serve the galaxy as laborers. Your homeworld will become a prison colony. You have 1 Earth week to surrender all weapons and technology. If you refuse, we will take them by force. Far away in deep space, Captain Minho was sitting in the command chair of the Taegukgi, Earth's first and only deep space exploration ship. He was reading the transmission that just came through. His face went pale as he read the words. Sir? His first officer asked. What is it? Minho couldn't speak for a moment. He just handed over the data pad. The first officer read it and her eyes went wide. They voted to enslave us? All of them? Minho nodded slowly. Every single species. They think we're too dangerous. Down in the engine room, Hyeji was working on some alien technology they had found during their exploration mission. She was an engineer and she loved solving puzzles. This alien tech was the biggest puzzle she'd ever seen. She was trying to understand how their computer systems worked when the alarm started blaring. She ran to the nearest communication panel. What's happening? Emergency meeting in the command room. Now, came the reply. 5 minutes later, Hyeji stood with the rest of the senior crew as Captain Minho explained the situation. The room was quiet when he finished. Then everyone started talking at once. They can't do this. We have to fight. How many ships are they sending? Minho held up his hand for silence. We don't have all the details yet. But Hyeji, I need you to do something. You've been studying their technology. Can you find anything useful? Anything that might help us? Hyeji nodded and ran back to her station. She worked through the night, going through everything they had learned about alien technology, and then she found it. Something the council had missed. Something important. She called Minho immediately. Captain, you need to see this. When Minho arrived, Hyeji showed him what she had discovered. Look at this. The council uses control implants to manage slave populations. They put these devices in people's brains to make them obey. But look at the specifications. Minho studied the data. I don't understand. What am I looking at? The implants work by connecting to specific neural pathways. But humans, our brains are different. We evolved differently. The pathways these implants need don't exist in human brains, at least not in the same way. Minho's eyes widened. Are you saying the slave implants won't work on us? We're immune. Back on Earth in the council chamber, Ji-won was still standing on the platform. Next to her now was Junho, Earth's top scientist. He had been called to answer questions about human biology and technology. The head counselor was speaking to them. Dr. Junho, you understand the charges against your species? Junho nodded. I understand what you think about us. But you're wrong. Wrong? The counselor's voice was sharp. Your planet has been at war with itself for thousands of years. You have weapons that can destroy entire cities. You created diseases as weapons. You have nearly destroyed yourselves multiple times. How are we wrong? Junho took a deep breath. Yes, we've fought wars. Yes, we've made terrible weapons. But we've also done something you haven't. We've survived. Every species here lives on peaceful worlds. You've never had to struggle like we have. You don't understand what it means to fight for survival. That is exactly why you must be controlled, the counselor said. Your violent nature makes you dangerous. Ji-won finally spoke. You're making a mistake. The counselor turned to her. Is that a threat, Commander? No, it's a warning. You think you know us because you've studied our history. But you don't understand what you're looking at. Yes, humans fight. But do you know what else humans do? We survive, no matter what. We adapt, we overcome. You're about to learn that the hard way. The counselor's expression didn't change. Your week begins now. Surrender or face the consequences. The transmission ended. Ji-won and Junho were escorted out of the chamber. As soon as they were alone, Junho turned to her. What do we do now? Ji-won's face was hard. We go home. We warn Earth and we prepare. Prepare for what? We can't fight the entire galaxy. Maybe not, Ji-won said. But we can make them regret trying to enslave us. On the Taiguchi, Minho was making his own decision. He called his crew together. We're not going back to Earth to surrender, he announced. We're going dark. We'll hide in deep space and start preparing. Hyeji has found a weakness in their slave control system. That's our first advantage. We'll find more. But Captain, someone objected, Earth needs us. We should go back and help defend it. Minho shook his head. If we go back, they'll capture this ship. They'll take our technology. No, we stay free. We become Earth's hidden weapon. When the time is right, we'll strike. The week was counting down. Across human space, people were preparing. Some wanted to surrender. They thought fighting was hopeless. But others remembered their history. They remembered that humans had never been successfully conquered. Not by other humans, and certainly not by aliens who had never known real war. Ji-won sent a message to all human colonies and military forces. They think we're dangerous now. They have no idea. They're about to find out what humans do when we're cornered. They're about to learn that there's a difference between being dangerous and being deadly. We've been dangerous. Now we'll be deadly. The Galactic Council had made its decision. They would enslave Earth. They thought it would be easy. They thought humans would see the overwhelming numbers against them and surrender. They were wrong. The week ended. Earth's answer came. No, one word. But it changed everything. The war was beginning. And the galaxy was about to learn a terrible lesson about humanity. The emergency meeting room in Geneva was packed. Representatives from every Earth nation sat around the massive table. General Tajan stood at the head, his face grim. On the screens behind him were images of alien fleets gathering at the edge of human space. The situation is clear, Tajan said. We are outgunned. The alien forces outnumber us 1,000 to 1. They have better weapons, better shields, better ships. By every military calculation, we should surrender. The room erupted in angry voices. Some people agreed with surrender. Others wanted to fight. The arguing went on for several minutes until a young woman stood up. General, may I speak? Taijin looked at Lieutenant Sora. She was only 25 years old, but she had the highest tactical scores in Earth's military academy history. Go ahead, Lieutenant. Sora walked to the front of the room. She pulled up new images on the screens. Everyone is looking at this wrong. Yes, they have better technology. Yes, they outnumber us. But they have one massive weakness. What weakness? Someone asked. They don't know how to fight, Sora said simply. Look at their history. Every species in the Galactic Council evolved on peaceful worlds. They discovered spaceflight and found other peaceful species. They've had minor conflicts, but nothing serious. They created the Council to prevent wars. They've had peace for over 1,000 years. So? Another representative asked. Sora smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. So they don't understand war. Not real war. They fight with rules. They have honor codes. They negotiate. They follow procedures. But humans? We've been fighting each other for our entire history. We've fought in every environment imaginable. Deserts, jungles, oceans, mountains, tundra, space. We've developed thousands of different ways to kill each other. The room went quiet. They think they know us because they studied our history. Sora continued. They saw our wars and our weapons and decided we were too violent. But they're looking at it wrong. They see violence. I see experience. They see aggression. I see adaptability. They see danger. I see expertise, General Tajan nodded slowly. You're saying we can win? I'm saying we can make them wish they never tried to enslave us, Sora replied. Thousands of miles above Earth. On the Taiguchi, Captain Minho was having a similar conversation. His crew was gathered in the mess hall. We can't go back to Earth, he explained. If we do, they'll capture us. But we can't just hide either. We need to act. How? Someone asked. It's one ship against an entire galaxy. Minho looked at Hyeji. Show them what you found. Hyeji stood up and activated a holographic display. I've been studying the alien databases we captured. I found something interesting. The Galactic Council is very organized, very efficient, but that means they're also very predictable. Look, the hologram showed star maps with highlighted systems. These are the homeworlds of every council species. The locations aren't secret because they've never needed to be secret. They've never had enemies. They've never needed to hide. Understanding dawned on the faces around the room. We know where they live, Minho said quietly. Every single one of them. A young corporal named Minji spoke up. Captain, are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? Minho looked at her. What am I suggesting, Corporal? You want to attack their homeworlds. Not their military. Their homes. The room went silent. It was a brutal suggestion. But Minji wasn't finished. I volunteer, she said. Give me a team. Give me a ship. I'll show the council what happens when they threaten Earth. Minho studied her for a long moment. Minji was Special Forces. She was trained for exactly this kind of mission. It would be dangerous. Probably a one-way trip. Then it's a good thing I'm not afraid to die for Earth, Minji replied. Back on Earth, Dr. Junho was in his laboratory. He wasn't a military man. He was a scientist. But he understood that sometimes science could be used as a weapon, and right now, Earth needed weapons. He was studying the biological data they had on council species. Every species had submitted medical information when they joined the council. It was supposed to help with medical emergencies. But Junho was looking at it differently. They're weak, he muttered to himself. They've lived in peace for so long, their immune systems are weak. His assistant looked up. What do you mean? Look at this, Junho pointed at the data. These species haven't dealt with serious diseases in centuries. They've eliminated most illnesses. Their bodies have forgotten how to fight. But humans? We've been battling diseases our entire existence. We've had pandemics. We've survived plagues. Our immune systems are battle-hardened. You want to create biological weapons? Junho shook his head. Not kill them. We're not monsters. But we can create something that incapacitates them. Makes them sick enough that they can't fight. Sick enough that they have to go home and take care of their people instead of attacking us. Is that possible? I think so. It will take time, but yes. The week had passed. The alien fleets were approaching Earth. On the surface, cities were being evacuated. Not surrendering. Evacuating. Humans were moving to hidden locations, underground bunkers, and secret bases on remote planets. General Tajin watched the alien fleets on his monitors. They think we're going to stand and fight like they would. They're wrong. Lieutenant Sora stood next to him. The traps are ready, sir. Every major city has been rigged. When they land, they're in for a surprise. And the guerrilla teams? Deployed and waiting. They won't know what hit them. On the Tayaguki, Corporal Minji and her strike team were boarding a small fast ship. Hayaji had modified it with stolen alien technology. It could jump further and faster than any council ship expected. Remember the mission, Minho told them. You're not trying to win a battle. You're trying to spread chaos. Hit their infrastructure, their supplies, their communications. Make them afraid, Minji nodded. We understand, sir. By the time we're done, they'll be begging to leave Earth alone. The strike team's ship jumped into hyperspace, heading for the first council homeworld. Back on Earth, Jiwan was broadcasting a message. It would reach every human settlement, every ship, every person. They think they can enslave us, she said. They think because they have bigger ships and more guns, we'll just give up. They don't understand humans. We've never given up. Not when faced with ice ages. Not when faced with plagues. Not when faced with wars that killed millions. We survive, we adapt, we overcome. She paused, looking directly into the camera. The Galactic Council voted to enslave Earth. Every single species agreed. They think we're dangerous. They're right, but they don't understand what that means. They've seen us fight each other. Now they'll see us fight together. They wanted to see what happens when you corner a dangerous species. They're about to find out. The message ended. Across human space, people prepared. Soldiers checked their weapons. Engineers finished their traps. Scientists completed their biological agents. Pilots climbed into their ships. The first alien fleet entered Earth's orbit. They expected to see surrender flags. They expected humanity to beg for mercy. Instead, they found an empty planet. Silent cities. Abandoned military bases. The fleet commander was confused. Where are they? His sensors officer checked the readings. Sir, I'm not detecting any human life signs in the major population centers. They evacuated? All of them? It appears so, sir. The commander thought for a moment. Send the landing forces. Search every city. Find them. The first alien troops landed in New York City. The streets were empty. Buildings stood silent. It was eerie. Then the trap activated. Automated weapon systems came online. Buildings that seemed empty suddenly became fortresses. What looked like abandoned streets became kill zones. The aliens had never experienced anything like it. They didn't know about booby traps. They didn't know about ambush tactics. They were trained to fight honorable battles with clear enemies. Instead, they found themselves fighting a ghost. An enemy that was everywhere and nowhere. Across the galaxy, Corporal Minji's strike team emerged from hyperspace near the First Council homeworld. They didn't attack the planet. That would be too obvious. Instead, they hit the orbital stations, the supply depots, the communication satellites. Then they jumped away before anyone could respond. The Council species on that world woke up to find their entire infrastructure crippled. No communications, no supplies from off-world, no connection to the greater galaxy. And that was just the first target. The war had begun. And Earth was fighting it unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 3 months had passed since the war began. The Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Representatives were shouting at each other. Some were demanding more troops. Others wanted to negotiate peace. Several species had already withdrawn from the fight completely. The head counselor tried to restore order. Silence. We must remain united. A representative from one of the smaller species stood up. United? My homeworld hasn't had food shipments in 6 weeks. Our communication network is destroyed. Our people are starving and we can't even call for help. All because of human raiders that appear from nowhere. Another representative joined in. The humans have hit 17 of our colonies. 17. They destroy our infrastructure and vanish before we can respond. How are we supposed to fight an enemy we can't find? The head counselor was struggling. This wasn't how wars were supposed to work. You gathered your forces. You met the enemy in battle. You won or lost. But the humans weren't fighting that way. They were hitting targets across the entire galaxy at random. There was no pattern. No way to predict where they would strike next. On Earth, the alien occupation forces were suffering. They had taken the major cities, but holding them was a nightmare. Every building could be a trap. Every street could hide enemies. The humans they did encounter fought viciously, then disappeared. The alien commander sent a report to the council. We control the cities, but we cannot control the planet. The humans use tactics we have never encountered. They hide among civilians. They booby-trap everything. They attack at night when our sensors are less effective. They use weapons we didn't know existed. Yesterday, an entire platoon was taken out by something they called IEDs. I had to look up what that meant in Earth's military history. Improvised explosive devices. They're making weapons from ordinary materials. General Tajin read the intercepted report and smiled. They're learning. The hard way. Lieutenant Sora was coordinating attacks from a hidden bunker deep underground. Sir, we have confirmation. Another supply convoy destroyed. That's the 15th one this week. Good, keep them hungry. Keep them scared. How are our teams on the surface doing? Better than expected. The aliens still don't understand urban warfare. They keep bunching up in groups. Makes them easy targets. On the Taiguki, Captain Minho was studying the latest intelligence. Corporal Minji's strike team had hit 12 different council homeworlds. The results were devastating, not in lives lost, but in chaos created. Hyeji entered the command room. Captain, I have new data. The council is pulling ships from the Earth invasion to defend their homeworlds. They're scattered across the galaxy trying to protect everything at once. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. A scattered enemy is a weak enemy. Minho pulled up a star map. What's our next target? I'd suggest this one. Hyeji highlighted a system. It's a major trade hub. If we disrupt it, 15 council species will lose their primary supply route. Minho nodded. Make it happen. Dr. Junho's biological weapons were ready. They weren't designed to kill, but to incapacitate. He had created 3 different strains, each targeting different council species based on their biology. The diseases would make them severely ill, but not fatal. They would force the aliens to focus on medical care instead of war. The first deployment was on a Council military base. Within days, 70% of the alien soldiers were too sick to fight. The base had to be evacuated. Earth forces moved in and captured all the equipment left behind. The Council's medical officers had never seen anything like it. Where did this disease come from? We've eliminated these kinds of illnesses centuries ago. But it wasn't just one disease. Junio had created dozens of variations. Each time the Council developed a treatment, a new strain would appear. It was biological warfare at its finest. Non-lethal but completely effective. Corporal Minji's team jumped into another Council system. This time they had a different mission. Instead of hitting infrastructure, they were going after morale. They hacked into the Council's communication networks and broadcast a message. It showed footage of Earth forces winning battles. It showed alien ships destroyed. It showed Council troops surrendering. The message was clear. Earth was winning, but that wasn't the worst part. The message also showed Earth cities being rebuilt. It showed human children playing safely in bunkers. It showed Earth's people not broken and enslaved, but defiant and strong. The psychological impact was massive. Council species started questioning the war. If Earth was supposed to be enslaved, why were they still fighting? Why were they winning? On a Council warship, alien soldiers watched the broadcast in silence. One of them spoke quietly. "We were told this would be easy. We were told humans would surrender." Another soldier nodded. "They said humans were dangerous, but not this dangerous. They said we just needed to show force. Maybe we shouldn't have voted to enslave them." That conversation was happening on hundreds of ships, thousands of bases, across the entire Council military. The will to fight was breaking. General Taijin received reports of 3 more Council species requesting individual peace treaties. "They're falling apart," he told Lieutenant Sora, "just like you predicted. Species that have known peace for centuries can't handle total war." "It's not just that, sir. They don't understand why we fight so hard. They thought we would calculate the odds and surrender. They don't understand that humans don't always fight to win. Sometimes we fight because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes we fight just to prove we won't be pushed around." The Battle of Kepler 442b was about to begin. The Galactic Council had assembled their Grand Armada, the largest fleet ever gathered. They were determined to end this war with one massive victory. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the Taiguchi, looking at the enemy fleet on his sensors. There were hundreds of ships. His fleet had maybe 50. Most of them captured alien vessels that humans had learned to operate. "We're outnumbered 10 to 1, his first officer said. "Good," Minho replied. "They'll get overconfident." The battle began. The Council fleet came in standard formation, organized and precise. They fired in coordinated volleys. They maintained perfect spacing. It was textbook military tactics. The human fleet scattered. Ships went in different directions. They broke every rule of proper fleet engagement. They didn't maintain formation. They didn't coordinate. To the Council it looked like chaos, but it wasn't chaos. It was strategy. Human ships flew at the alien fleet from unexpected angles. They used the star's gravity to slingshot themselves at impossible speeds. They fired their weapons while spinning, making them harder to hit. They did things with spacecraft that the Council considered impossible or insane. One human ship, its engines failing, accelerated directly at a Council dreadnought. The aliens thought it was trying to escape and ignored it. Too late, they realized it was a ram attack. The human ship crashed into the dreadnought at full speed. Both ships were destroyed, but the explosion took out 3 more Council vessels nearby. The Council admiral was horrified. They sacrificed their own ship. That's not how space combat works. His tactical officer was shaking. "Sir, they're doing it again. Another human ship with critical damage is heading straight for our carrier group. Stop them." But the human ship was already moving too fast. Another kamikaze attack. More Council ships destroyed. Across the battle, human pilots were making impossible decisions, overloading their weapons to critical levels to get one more shot, even though it would destroy their own ship, flying into enemy formations to cause chaos before ejecting, using their smaller, faster ships to dart between the massive alien dreadnoughts, firing at point-blank range. The Council fleet was in disarray. They were trying to fight by the rules, but the humans had no rules. Every human ship was a threat, even the damaged ones. Especially the damaged ones. Corporal Minji had led a boarding team onto the Council flagship. Her team of 20 was fighting through corridors designed for species twice their size. They used their smaller size as an advantage, hiding in spaces the aliens couldn't fit, moving through maintenance tunnels. They reached the bridge and breached it. The Council Admiral watched in horror as humans in combat armor poured into his command center. Minji walked up to him, her weapon pointed at his chest. "Order your fleet to stand down. I cannot." "The Council? I don't care about the Council. Order your fleet to stand down or I will kill you and move to the next officer. I will keep killing officers until someone gives the order. Your choice." The Admiral looked into her eyes and saw something that terrified him. She wasn't bluffing. She would do exactly what she said. "All ships stand down. Cease fire immediately." The Council fleet stopped fighting. The battle was over. Earth had won. Minji forced the Admiral to broadcast his surrender on all frequencies. Every ship in the galaxy heard it. The Council's Supreme Commander, defeated by a handful of human soldiers. The Council species were shocked. Their greatest fleet destroyed or captured, their Supreme Admiral surrendering. The war was turning into a disaster. Across the galaxy, Council representatives were receiving messages from their homeworlds. The people were demanding an end to the war. They had seen the cost. They had seen their military broken. They had seen humans willing to do whatever it took to win. 6 months into the war, the Galactic Council was broken. What started as a unanimous vote to enslave Earth had turned into the greatest military disaster in galactic history. 17 Council species had already surrendered individually, begging Earth for mercy. Commander Jiwan stood in what used to be the Council's military headquarters. Now it was Earth's command center. She looked at the latest reports with a mixture of satisfaction and concern. "Another 3 species are requesting peace terms," an aide informed her. "Tell them the same thing we told the others. Surrender completely. Accept Earth's terms. No negotiations." The aide hesitated. "Commander, some of the Earth leadership thinks we should start accepting surrenders. They say we've made our point." Juwan's eyes went cold. "Made our point?" "They voted to enslave us. Every single one of them. They made humans into property. No, we haven't made our point yet. On Earth, the occupation was over. The alien forces that had tried to control the planet were either captured, dead, or had fled." General Taejin walked through the streets of Seoul, now being rebuilt by human workers. Alien prisoners under guard were helping with the reconstruction. Lieutenant Sora joined him. "General, the reports from across the galaxy confirm it. The Council can't fight anymore. Their economies are shattered. Their supply lines are destroyed. Their military is scattered and demoralized. We've won." Taejin nodded slowly. "We've won the war. But what comes next? That's the real question." Captain Minho's fleet now controlled every major jump gate in the galaxy. Without access to faster-than-light travel, the Council species were isolated. Each one was alone, cut off from the others. It was strategic brilliance. A united Council was strong. Separated Council species were weak. Hayeji was analyzing the data from all the jump gates. "Captain, we have complete control. No ship moves between systems without our permission. We've effectively cut the galaxy into pieces." "Good, keep it that way. How long can they survive cut off from each other?" "Not long. Most Council species rely on trade for essential supplies, food, medicine, raw materials. Without trade, they'll start having serious problems within a few months." Dr. Junho was facing a different kind of challenge. His biological weapons had worked too well. Some Council species were still suffering from the diseases he had created. He had treatments ready, but Earth was withholding them until the species surrendered. "This feels wrong," he told his assistant. "We created these diseases to stop the war, not to torture them." "They wanted to enslave us," his assistant replied. "I know, but we're not them. We're better than this, or we should be." Junho made a decision. He sent the medical treatments to the suffering species anyway, without waiting for Earth's approval. When questioned about it, he was defiant. "I'm a doctor. My job is to heal, not to use disease as a weapon. The war is over. Continuing to let them suffer serves no purpose." General Taejin was furious when he heard about it. He had no authority to do that. But Jiwon stopped him. "Let it go. Yunyo is right. We've won. There's no point in cruelty now." The Battle of Kepler 442b had been 3 months ago, but its effects were still being felt across the galaxy. The Council's Grand Fleet was gone. Half the ships were destroyed. The other half were captured by Earth forces. The Council's military power was effectively zero. Corporal Minji had become famous or infamous depending on who you asked. The soldier who had captured the Council's Supreme Admiral was now leading the occupation forces on the Council's central world. She walked through the halls where the Council used to meet, her boots echoing in the empty chamber. "Hard to believe 847 species used to meet here," she said to her second in command. "Now look at it empty. What do you think will happen to them?" Minji shrugged. "That's above my pay grade. I just follow orders. But between you and me, I think we should let them go. We've proven our point. Continuing to grind them down just makes us the bullies." On Earth, there was a massive debate happening. The question was simple, but the answer was complex. What should happen to the Council species? Some wanted revenge. They argued that the Council tried to enslave humanity and should pay the price. Make them servants. Take their worlds. Show them what it feels like. Others wanted justice. Put the Council leaders on trial. Punish those responsible. But let the regular people go free. They were just following orders and some wanted mercy. End the war. Rebuild. Create a new system where this could never happen again. General Tajin was firmly in the revenge camp. They voted to enslave us. They should become our servants. Let them experience what they wanted to do to us. Lieutenant Sora disagreed. "That makes us no better than them, sir. We fought this war to prove we weren't the monsters they thought we were. If we enslave them, we prove them right." The argument was happening at every level of Earth's government. In homes, in bars, in military bases, everyone had an opinion. Captain Minho called a meeting of his senior officers on the Teguki. "We control the jump gates. That gives us leverage. The question is, how do we use it?" Hieji spoke up. "We could keep control permanently, make Earth the center of galactic travel. Every species would have to go through us." "That's an empire," someone objected. "That's what we're fighting against." "No," another officer said. "An empire forces others to obey. We're just controlling infrastructure. There's a difference." The debate went on for hours. No easy answers emerged. Dr. Junho was treating wounded soldiers, both human and alien, in a field hospital. He didn't care which side they had been on. Wounded was wounded. He worked on a council soldier who had severe injuries from a battle. "Why help me?" the alien asked weakly. "I was trying to kill your people." Junho didn't look up from his work. "Because I'm a doctor. That's what we do. We heal, the war is over. Now we fix what was broken. Your people won. You could let me die. No one would blame you. I would blame me." "That's enough." The alien was quiet for a moment. "We were wrong about humans. We thought you were monsters. But monsters wouldn't save their enemies." Commander G1 received word that the Council's head counselor wanted to speak with her. She agreed to the meeting, but on Earth's terms. He would come to Earth. He would stand where she had stood when the Council condemned humanity. The counselor arrived under heavy guard. He looked tired, defeated. G1 met him in a simple room, no ceremony, no grand gestures. "You wanted to talk?" "Talk." The counselor struggled to find words. "We were wrong. The Council was wrong. We saw your violence and feared it. We should have tried to understand it. You're right. You were wrong. But being wrong isn't the worst thing you did. You tried to enslave an entire species. You voted unanimously to take away our freedom. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. What will you do with us? With the Council species?" Jiwan stood and walked to the window. Outside, humans and aliens were working together to rebuild a damaged building. "I don't know yet. Part of me wants to make you suffer like you wanted us to suffer. Part of me wants to show mercy because that's what separates us from you. And part of me wants to build something new, something better than the Council ever was. Which part will win? That's what we're trying to figure out." General Tajian was inspecting Earth's military forces. They were stronger now than ever before. Captured alien technology combined with human ingenuity had created weapons and ships beyond anything the Council had imagined. Lieutenant Sora approached him with new intelligence. "Sir, we've intercepted communications from the remaining Council species. They're terrified. Some are talking about surrendering even though we haven't demanded it. Others are considering mass evacuation, leaving the galaxy entirely just to get away from us. Good. Fear will keep them in line. But sir, is that what we want? To rule through fear? That's what the Council did. It's what we fought against." Tajin stopped and looked at her. "You think we should just forgive them? Forget what they tried to do? No, sir. I think we should be better than them." We should build a system where this can never happen again. Not through fear, but through cooperation, through mutual respect. Corporal Minji sent a message to Earth Command. The Council species are broken. They have no fight left. Most of them just want this to be over. They want to go home to their families, to their lives. They're not soldiers anymore. They're just scared people who made a terrible mistake. The message included video footage of alien soldiers surrendering, many of them crying, begging to be allowed to go home. It was hard to watch. These weren't monsters. They were just people who had followed bad orders. Dr. Junho addressed Earth's leadership in a video message. We've won. We've proven we can't be enslaved. We've shown the galaxy our strength. But strength isn't just the ability to destroy. It's also the ability to rebuild, to heal, to forgive. If we want to be respected, we need to show we're worthy of it. That means showing mercy when we have the power to be cruel. The debate continued. Earth held all the power. The Council species were at their mercy. The question was, what kind of species did humanity want to be? The monsters the Council feared, or something better? Commander Jiwon knew the decision would define humanity's future in the galaxy. Whatever choice they made would echo for generations. She stood at a crossroads with the fate of billions in her hands. Commander Jiwon stood in the reconstructed Galactic Council chamber. But this time she wasn't the one being judged. The Council representatives, what remained of them, were kneeling before her. Some were injured. All were defeated. The sight should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt heavy. She looked at each of them, these aliens who had voted to enslave her species. A year ago, they had been confident, powerful, united. Now they were broken, scattered, begging for mercy. The war had lasted exactly 1 Earth year. In that time, humanity had brought the galaxy to its knees. General Taejin stood beside her. Say the word, Commander. We can make them pay for what they tried to do. Jiwon was silent for a long moment. She thought about everything that had happened. The vote to enslave Earth, the war, the battles, the lives lost on both sides, the fear, the hatred, the pain. Captain Minho's voice came through her earpiece. Commander, my fleet is in position. We control every jump gate in the galaxy. No one moves without our permission. We have total control. Lieutenant Sora's report followed. All Council military forces have surrendered or been destroyed. They have no capacity to resist. Whatever we decide, they can't stop us. Dr. Junho's message was different. Commander, I'm sending you something. Medical reports from Council worlds. You need to see this. Jiwon pulled up the reports on her tablet. They showed Council species suffering. Not from war anymore, but from the aftermath. Food shortages, medical crises, infrastructure collapse, children going hungry, elderly people without medicine. Entire populations on the edge of disaster. She had seen reports like this before. From Earth's history, from the aftermath of Earth's own wars. She knew what happened when conquerors were cruel to the defeated. Generational hatred, future conflicts, an endless cycle of revenge. The head counselor, still kneeling, spoke quietly. Commander Jiwon, we know we deserve whatever punishment you choose. We voted to enslave your species. We were arrogant and cruel. We were wrong. Please just tell us what you're going to do. The waiting is torture. Jiwon looked at him. Really looked at him. He wasn't a monster. He was just a leader who had made a terrible decision, like so many leaders throughout history, human and otherwise. Stand up, she said. The counselor looked confused. What? I said, stand up. All of you. Slowly, hesitantly, the council representative stood. They looked at her with fear and confusion. Jiwon walked to the center of the chamber. You voted to enslave Earth because you were afraid of us. You saw our history of violence and decided we were too dangerous to be free. And you know what? You were right to be afraid. The counselor's face fell. This was it. The punishment was coming. But you were wrong about what to do with that fear, Jiwon continued. You tried to control us, to enslave us. That was your mistake. Because you can't control humanity. You can only push us. And when you push us, we push back harder than you can imagine. She activated a holographic display. It showed the war in numbers. Battles won, ships destroyed, infrastructure damaged, lives disrupted. This is what happens when you try to enslave Earth. This is what your vote cost the galaxy. The counselor was shaking. We know, we're sorry. I'm not finished. Jiwon changed the display. It showed plans, reconstruction plans, medical aid, food distribution. Infrastructure repair. This is what happens next. General Taijin stepped forward. Commander, what are you doing? Jiwon turned to him. What we should have done from the start. We're building something better. She addressed the council representatives again. You tried to enslave us. We could enslave you. We could take revenge. We could make you suffer like you wanted us to suffer. But that would make us no better than you. And humanity is better than that. Corporal Minji's voice came through the comm system. She was watching from the council's central world. Commander, are you sure about this? I am, Corporal. The war is over. It's time to build the peace. G1 laid out the terms. They weren't terms of surrender in the traditional sense. They were terms of reconstruction. The Galactic Council is dissolved, she announced. It failed. It allowed 847 species to vote to enslave one. That can never happen again. In its place, we will build something new. A true federation, where no species can be enslaved, where votes must protect all, not harm any. The councilors looked at each other, uncertain. But first we rebuild, Jiwon continued. The damage from this war affects everyone. Council species are suffering. Their people are hungry, sick, afraid. We're going to fix that. Dr. Junho's image appeared on a screen. I'm already organizing medical teams. We'll send aid to every species that needs it. No conditions. No revenge. Just help. Captain Minho appeared on another screen. My fleet will begin escorting supply ships. Food, medicine, building materials. We'll make sure it reaches where it's needed. Lieutenant Sora appeared on a third screen. We're setting up training programs. We'll teach your species about conflict resolution, about defense without aggression. You wanted to learn about humans. Now you will. But you'll learn the good parts too, not just the parts that scared you. General Taijin was shaking his head. Commander, this is a mistake. They tried to destroy us. Showing mercy makes us look weak. Jiwon turned to him. No, General. Showing mercy when you have the power to be cruel shows strength. Real strength. The Council feared our capacity for violence. Let's show them our capacity for something better. She addressed the Council representatives again. But make no mistake, this mercy comes with conditions. You will accept human oversight of your military forces. Not forever, but for one generation. Long enough to change your cultures. Long enough to learn. The head counselor nodded slowly. We accept all of it. We have no choice and honestly no desire to refuse. You've shown us what happens when we make humans our enemy. We would rather learn to be your allies. Jiwon pulled up a new display. It showed a proposed structure for the new galactic government. This is the new federation. Every species gets representation based on population, but no vote can harm another species. Ever. There will be human observers to ensure this, at least at first. Later, when trust is rebuilt, we can revisit that. You're not taking control? A counselor asked, surprised. We're taking responsibility, Jiwon corrected. There's a difference. Control through fear is what the council tried. We're building something based on cooperation and mutual respect. Corporal Minji spoke from her position. Commander, the council species here are already cooperating. They're helping with rebuilding. They want to make things right. Good. That's the first step. Over the next weeks, the transformation began. Human medical teams arrived at council worlds. Dr. Junho personally supervised the distribution of treatments for the biological weapons he had created. He worked alongside alien doctors, teaching them, learning from them. Captain Minho's fleet became a supply convoy. Ships that had fought brutal battles now carried food and medicine. The same jump gates that had been weapons of war became highways of aid. Minho watched a supply ship jump to a council world and smiled. This is better than fighting, he said to Heiji. Heiji was working with council engineers, sharing human technology. But more importantly, learning alien technology. If we combine what we know, she explained to a group of alien scientists, we can build things neither of us could build alone. Lieutenant Sora was training council species in military doctrine, but not offensive doctrine, defense, conflict resolution, how to fight without cruelty, how to win without revenge. The aliens learned quickly. They were eager to avoid another war like the one they'd just lost. General Taijin remained skeptical. He visited Jiwon in her office. They tried to enslave us. You're rewarding them. No, I'm preventing the next war. If we crush them now, their children will hate us. Their grandchildren will seek revenge. This cycle has played out on Earth 1,000 times. I'm ending it here. What if they betray us? What if they rebuild and attack again? Jiwon smiled. Then we'll beat them again. But I don't think they will. They learned their lesson. And more importantly, we're not giving them a reason to hate us. We're giving them a reason to cooperate. The first meeting of the new Federation Council took place 3 months after the war ended. It was in the same chamber where Earth had been condemned. But the atmosphere was completely different. Representatives from all species sat together. Humans sat among them, not above them. Commander G1 opened the session. This is a new beginning. The old council tried to enslave a species out of fear. The new Federation will protect all species through cooperation. We will learn from each other. We will defend each other. And we will never ever vote to harm each other. The head counselor, now just one representative among many, stood. On behalf of all council species, I apologize. We were wrong. We let fear guide us to cruelty. Humanity has shown us a better way. Not through words, but through actions. You had every right to destroy us. Instead, you're rebuilding us. We will not forget this. Corporal Minji addressed the assembly from her position. My teams are standing down from combat operations. We're transitioning to peacekeeping. Any species that needs help maintaining order while they rebuild, we're here. Not to control you, to help you. Dr. Junho made an announcement. All medical knowledge from Earth is